Chapter 3. What makes things so interesting is, in fact, there was not one Battle of Puebla. There were two Battles of Puebla. There was the first one, May 5th. Oh, and the French were furious. Their honor was sullied. A bunch of Indians could beat the French. French honor demanded a rematch. So the French sacked their general, sent over more troops, and they told pretty much Juarez, we're going to meet you again at Puebla, and we're going to beat you this time. Meanwhile, in the Civil War, things went worse and worse and worse for the Union troops. General McClellan thought he was going to make an end run around the Confederacy and attack their capital at Richmond. Robert E. Lee was put in charge of Confederate forces in the 7 Days Battle. He just whipped the Union royally. Stonewall Jackson does the Shenandoah Valley campaign. He's threatening Washington, D.C. There's the second Battle of Bull Run, which the Union again loses, and then Lee invades Maryland. And meanwhile, the French are marching towards Puebla. Well, they get to Puebla around about the middle of March. They realize it's not going to be easy. And instead of just a 1 or 2 day battle, like the original Battle of Puebla, the second Battle of Puebla was a siege that lasted for 62 days. And with a 4-week time lag, it took about 4 weeks for news to get from Mexico City up here to California. Latinos here in California on a daily basis were following what was happening. And it was like the world's longest sudden death, literally sudden death championship game. The French and the Mexican army, the army of freedom and democracy, the army of slavery and oligarchy, locked in a 62-day struggle. The French hadn't planned it like this. They began this in the middle of March. Towards the end of April, it became clear the first anniversary of the Battle of Puebla was coming up, Cinco de Mayo. And for the Mexican forces supporting Juarez and for Latinos here, Cinco de Mayo began to take on a symbolic importance. If we can just hold on till the first anniversary, even if we lose eventually the battle, this will be a big moral victory. And of course, the French saying, we can't let the Mexicans celebrate this. We've got to take Puebla before the Cinco de Mayo. Right at the end of April, the French had a huge push. They blew up walls. They threw in their best troops. They thought, we got them. But suddenly the Mexican army rose out of the rubble, and an 8-hour hand-to-hand combat ensued. And finally, at the end of the day, the Mexican army pushed the French back, and the morning of May 5th, 1863 dawned, and the flag of Mexico, the flag of freedom and democracy, still waved over Puebla. And that was a huge moral victory. As soon as news of that arrived here in Los Angeles, Latinos had the first official commemoration of the original Battle of Puebla. There were parades, bonfires, gunfire salutes. The two flags, the Mexican and the U.S. flag, the two flags of freedom and democracy, were raised. There was a color guard. There was a huge parade. There were speeches. There were fireworks. And Latinos here were so happy that freedom and democracy looked like was going to win again. They vowed they would never, ever forget the Battle of Puebla.